Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Rohloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on GovTV for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the most local, latest and greatest news and updates here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as an upcoming preview of the upcoming council meeting for Tuesday, April 11th, 2017. So I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Rohloff. Welcome, Mark, and thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's wonderful to have you. We're going to go ahead and dive into our hot topics for the first half of today's show, take a little break, and then we're going to return with a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for, like I said, Tuesday, April 11th, 2017. So, Mark, first thing that we want to talk about today is the election. We are hot off of Election Day here, and I guess let's first talk about the turnout. It was a very local election, and we have some semi-good news for the turnout.
Yeah, the turnout was better than we normally get. Normally, you get a turnout of about 8 to 12% when it's just a local election. There was a state superintendent of schools that was on the ballot, and so our turnout was actually 19%, which is better, not as good as back in November with the presidential election when it was 75-80%. And I always tell people, it's important to vote and everything. We're certainly happy more people voted. We can always do better, though.
Definitely. So we ended up with a new council member on the city level, and as well as our mayor, Steve Cummings, remaining in office, and then Deb Allison Osby, Tom Peck Jr., and then our new council member, Jake Krause, will be taking Ben Stepanik's seat.
Right. Mr. Krause, he's taking the place of Ben Stepanik, who's stepping down after one term. So I have a new member of council, and we'll go through all the process that we do to orient council members to city operations so they become familiar with kind of behind the scenes stuff, so they just become more aware of some of the goings on at City Hall and throughout our departments at the city.
Yes, they'll be diving right in, doing full tours of all the departments, so they will be definitely learning a lot throughout the process. But when will Jay Krause's first meeting be coming up here?
After the council meeting on April 11th, they recess until April 18th. Then the council steps down and the new council takes their seat. And so the organizational meeting will be on Tuesday, April 18th. A lot of it's just swearing in and just going over some basic council rules. Generally no action takes place at the meeting. And then and that one's done at noon. And then the following Tuesday, April 25th is when they have their first full regular council meeting.
Definitely. Well, it's an exciting time, and that's how local government works. There's always new people coming in and out, so we're excited to meet Jake and start working with him. Next thing that we want to talk about here, Mark, is the Oshkosh Arena groundbreaking. Took place last week, Wednesday, I believe, and it was a very chilly day, but there was a lot of great energy in the air. So we were out there covering it. We're replaying it now on GovTV, and we put together kind of a little bit of a highlight reel for you. So let's go ahead and see what some of the main points from the presentation were.
You're going to hear from people that are going to talk about teamwork and community and progress and growth, and take those words into your heart, because those are real important words. These are words that are going to change the face of this community in Oshkosh, but also change the face of the region.
I did not believe Mark when he told me we would have this property clear, and when we came today, I actually expected it to be, still in progress. So, to the city crews and that, what an amazing job.
I think it's also important to note too that such projects like this happen in a city with well-placed priorities. And I too want to give a lot of credit to the city's leadership and the staff for having persevered with proactive planning and dogged persistence to turn this eyesore into a redevelopment opportunity, overcoming legal, regulatory, environmental challenges.
Write this day down. Put it in your notebooks. Put it on your calendars. It's going to be a very special day in the history books. We're not just breaking ground to lay a foundation for an amazing multi-purpose stadium. We're actually laying the foundation for the future of Fox Valley. we're actually sparking a catalyst of economic growth and economic boom right here in Oshkosh.
And so that was just a tidbit of the presentation, and it was an amazing turnout. That little tent that they had there was completely packed, and it's just amazing to see the support that the community has for it. So I guess, Mark, what's the next step for, for the city's involvement in this?
Our city involvement is very limited. We are just the catalyst to get the property transferred over to them. We condemn the Buckstaff property, but we're actually, right now, we're leasing it and we'll eventually sell it to the arena folks. We're hanging on to it only because there's certain environmental things that have to get checked off before we do that. But our city crews, as Greg mentioned, did an outstanding job. Thank goodness for the weather, but our folks were out there following the crew that was hired by the Buckstaff owners as part of the settlement to tear it down. We were cleaning up right behind them, and they got it done. As Greg said, that site is totally clear now and actually making some good progress. And the only remaining role that we have is essentially getting all the paperwork done to transfer the property to the arena ownership. The TIF district's been created, the buildings are down. It's good that we have them on video because we'll be able to show people in the past what it used to look like, because it's going to look a lot better than it ever did.
Definitely. And so the contractor for the construction actually has a camera installed, and that is located on the city website. So if you want to see the latest and greatest shot, they do have that. Just visit the city website. It's down on the bottom of the page there. Next thing we want to mention here, Mark, is the Sustainability Advisory Board met this week with some UWO students, and they gave a presentation to the board about some of the environmental planning tips and tricks and, I guess, recommendations for the city. So how did that go?
It was great. We also had a quorum of the council there to hear about a lot of these things. And the presentation essentially said, here are things, best practices that are being done in some other communities, and here's how we think you might be able to apply them here. Some of them were energy efficiency measures at our water and sewer treatment plants, and some were about ways in which we can more broadly use transportation. They also pointed out that from talking to different people that there is an interest in second shift transportation for second shift workers. We can, with our schedule, we can get them to work, but we just can't get them home, and that creates a problem. But they gave some really good presentations on things that we already do well in the community. You know, using the farmers market is one idea, that whole farm to table concept, just the manufacturing that we do in town, and just the commitment that we have to sustainability. So they gave some nice suggestions as well. Transportation, utilities, those are probably the biggest ones. Looking for ways to encourage people to use Go Transit more. So they're going to give us a final report around May 1st, and I'm looking forward to the final report. I know council's looking forward to it as well, to take a look at it and say, how can we improve? There's always room for improvement, and we'll take some ideas from them.
Yes, it's wonderful to see you're using the university as a resource, and a lot of people don't realize how valuable these students are and how much that they know, and it's a whole demographic that sometimes goes untapped. So it's great to see that. We did cover that meeting, so it is replaying right now on GovTV and on our website. So if you're interested in seeing the full presentation from the students and the conversation that happened there, just visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org to see the schedule or to watch it on demand. Next thing that we want to talk about, Mark, is the Marion Road Water Tower. It seems like it's been a little while since we've mentioned it, and all of a sudden there is the shell of a water tower over there. So tell us a little bit about how this is moving along and how it kind of seems like it's moving along a little bit more than it actually is.
The great news is that it's moving along on schedule, but the way water towers work, and this is the third water tower I've done in my career, so somehow I become some expert on it, but you'll see a lot of what appears to be no progress and then a lot of progress, and that's what we're seeing now, because you're seeing the shell of the water tower and it looks like, oh my gosh, it's going to be done next week. Well, not even close. The metal has been fabricated over the last few months, so now they're putting up the initial shell for everything. That was all fabricated off-site. Now they're putting it up, but there's still a lot that has to get done in order to make the bowl structurally sound, to have everything just right for structural purposes for the future. The way it works is that it will be done for everything but the painting probably by the end of this construction season, so in the fall. That's too late to paint the water tower. And it's not like where you paint your room and you dry it and blow on it and stuff. You really got to, it's got to be meeting standards for water consumption. So that won't take place until spring of 2018. So we'll see 2 water towers on the horizon for the next year. And then if they, once they get it painted next summer, then they have to go through a process of cleansing the water tower, putting chlorine into the water, super chlorinated water, clean it out, flush it, and then fill it again. And as long as things work then, they have to test it, and then they get the blessing to do it. It takes a while, and then after it's all up and running, and we know it's working well, then we can take the old tower down. The old tower might not go down until late 2018, depending on how late it is, maybe not even until 2019. So it'll be a little time, but it's on schedule. It's exactly as I've seen before, and I'm very pleased with the progress we're making.
It's amazing the process that it takes to build a new water tower. So thank you for the background on that. I hope that we kind of cleared up some of the confusion that might be happening if people see it going up now and realize that it's not going to be in use until then. So still exciting to see that moving along. Next thing we want to mention here, Mark, is National Library Week. That is next week, April 9th through the 15th, and it's just a really great opportunity to get some great deals by using your library card. What's the whole goal of the week?
The goal is nationally to make people aware of their public library and how it's still very relevant for their needs, informational needs here. And this is just some examples of what they're doing. And locally, we're doing some really creative things. And Jeff Gilderson-Dewey, our library director, and his staff have a bunch of promotions and prizes, but you gotta have a library card. And you can go get it anytime during the week, but then you become eligible for all these prizes, and then it's like a little discount card on top of everything else. You flash your library card at a bunch of local businesses, and you'll get discounts and all sorts of goodies. So I encourage people to, if they don't have a library card, one of the library's goals is to have a library card in the hand of every resident of Oshkosh, so, and even outside the area too. So I encourage you to either pull out your library card, make sure it's up to date, or get it updated or get a new one, and take advantage of all the great programs next week and all the great participating local businesses that will give you a little something for being part of the
and
library.
tell your friends about it too.
Absolutely.
If you're getting these deals, I think I counted them up. There's 38 different businesses in Oshkosh that are going to be giving deals. So your friends are going to see it, and that gets you into the library. And the whole goal is that people are going to start taking advantage of the library. So it's wonderful. For more information, visit the Oshkosh Public Library's website at oshkoshpubliclibrary.org. Next thing that we want to mention, a couple of spring updates here, Mark. One of those being the bridge inspection reminder. Now we're about halfway through the bridge inspection period here in Oshkosh. So next closure that we're going to have, the full closure, is going to be Monday, April 10th. That is for the Wisconsin Street Bridge. That's from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Wednesday, April 12th, Congress Ave, Oshkosh Ave Bridge will be fully closed from 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. So we really want to make people aware of that because that does affect their commute, and we don't want everybody to be late for work. So you want to kind of plan ahead your commute that day.
Yeah, make alternate plans. These are annual inspections that occur. They clean the grid deck, the approach, bridge drains, all the needed repairs they do on that day so that for the summer season we're ready to go. And the boaters can take advantage of the lift bridge and go enjoy everything that Oshkosh offers.
Yes, very important time of year for that, for all the bridges that we do have in Oshkosh. Another spring reminder that we want to make sure we get out to people is the brush collection notice. The monthly brush collection has begun. It starts in April, and it occurs on your garbage day during the first full week of each month from April all the way until December. So just make sure that you're aware of that. On the same day as your garbage collection day, that is when they will also pick up brush like tree branches, hedge clippings, things like that. The full release is on our website with all of the details. Otherwise, call the Public Works Department at 232-5383 for more information, as well as the yard waste drop-off site being open. Their seasonal hours now are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday and Sunday. Make sure you got a permit. You can get those at the collections counter. They're $25 for a resident and $125 for a non-resident. So make sure you're taking advantage of those things as well this year.
Absolutely.
Definitely during this busy time when people are cleaning up their yards now that the snow has finally melted.
Yeah.
So. All right, well now it's that time of the show here, Mark, where viewers have the chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are going on here in Oshkosh. So let's go ahead and take a look at Question Mark this week. All right, Mark, so the question this week is, what happens if the Oshkosh Arena is not completed by November? Of course, it's going to be an arena question on the heels of this event.
Yeah, everything that's been going on. Well, first of all, the arena project is getting constructed by a private concern. We're simply leasing the land right now, and they're eventually going to buy it. So they've told us numerous times that they are on schedule to be completed by November. I think they're going to start the season on the road, my understanding is, so that buys them a little more time. But they say that even if they aren't ready, they have alternate plans. They haven't shared those with me, but that's their business. And with Greg Pierce at the opening, and then I saw him the next day at another presentation where he was talking to folks, and he said everything looks to be on track for a November tip-off. And so I'm going to take Greg at his word, and Greg's been meeting all these other deadlines, so I have no reason not to believe him, although it's going to be a very big challenge.
Yes, and it's a good opportunity to mention that the arena will not be owned by the city, although the city has had a lot of involvement in the process up until this point, so it's a
Correct.
good opportunity for that.
Yeah.
All right, so if you'd like to send a question to Mark, go ahead and send it to us on Twitter or Facebook. You can email it to us as well at questionmark@ci.oshkosh.wi.us, and he will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So we're going to take a quick break here, and when we come back, we're going to dive into the City Council meeting agenda for this Tuesday, April 11th. We'll be right back on City Manager's Report.
Explore the world of Jan Brett at the Oshkosh Public Museum. Original artwork brings the beloved children's stories to life. Explore your way through this fantastic exhibit and meet some of your favorite Jan Brett characters. Discover the world of Jan Brett on display through May 14th at the Oshkosh Public Museum. For more information, visit oshkoshmuseum.org.
Welcome back to City Manager's Report. Thanks again for joining us. Now it's the second half of the show. We're going to go ahead and look at the April 11th agenda for the Oshkosh Common Council. First item that we want to talk about, Mark, is the presentations. One of them, first one is a K-9 unit is retiring with the Oshkosh Police Department. Tell us about him.
K-9 Sonny has reached a point where he gets to go out in the yard and just enjoy himself. Officer Brian Diener has been his officer for all these years, and by policy, Brian gets first dibs, and he's going to be able to keep Sonny at home with him for his days of due reward. So we appreciate that. We got a great K-9 program. The public support is outstanding, and I'm sure we're going to be out there fundraising for another K-9, and congratulate Sonny for all his service, and Officer Diener for being a great trainer for Sonny for all these years.
Definitely. So thank you, Sonny, and thank you, Officer Brian Diener, for that. Next item under the presentations, Project Curb. Tell us a little bit about what this project is. It's with the school district, and it's also a partnership with Oshkosh for Education. Tell us about that.
Our neighborhood programs are very involved in knowing that schools are a huge part of the neighborhoods. And so with our neighborhood improvement folks in planning, they've collaborated with the school district and Oshkosh for Education, and they're working on a project where they're going to have one big spruce up day at every elementary school in the city to give it curb appeal. Just like a house needs a little curb appeal, so do the schools. And so Beth Wyman with Oshkosh for Education will be present to make a pitch to the whole community to participate with their local schools to be determined later on down the road. But it's going to be just sprucing it up, landscaping, cleaning, things like that. So we're really excited that these partnerships are there, and it really gets the neighborhoods engaged in terms of getting to know each other and looking for other things that they can do to help improve the neighborhood.
Exactly. Neighborhoods and schools, all the great collaboration that we have there, and really pride of place too. So it's wonderful. Can't wait to hear more about that. Under the consent agenda, Mark, item number 5, we want to talk about approving the initial resolution for special assessments, and that's Eveline Street over by CP Avenue and Bayshore Drive. Tell us a little bit about this project and where it is.
Well, this project kind of came up out of the ground, literally and figuratively. Eveline Street's one of our older streets. It absolutely needed to be replaced. It was not on our list this year for streets. Bayshore was, and Lake Avenue, which is parallel to Eveline Street, Lake Street is there as well. Well, there was a cave-in of a collapsed sewer a few weeks ago, and it needs to be replaced. We inspected it. It dates back to 1912, so it's over 100 years old, and fortunately, the bids that we got for Bayshore, New York Avenue, and others were very good, and we have enough savings that we can add Eveline Street to our list. We've had a meeting with the neighbors. They understand it. I think they're a little surprised that it's happening this year, but I think they understand that it's desperately needed, and the utilities are in just poor condition, and it's time to fix the street.
Definitely. So much needed. If you see construction over there, that's probably what it'll be on. Under new resolutions, Mark, we want to talk about the acceptance of a gift of rectangular rapidly flashing beacons and signage from Oshkosh Corporation. This is over on Waukah Avenue by the crosswalks there. Tell us a little bit about that.
This is over by Oshkosh Corp's Global Technology Center and their parking lots across the street. And there was an accident there with a vehicle and a pedestrian, and they want to make sure that their employees are safe. So they want to install these, and we're happy to install them, and they're going to be donating the funds to acquire these RRFBs, rectangular rapidly flashing beacons, similar to what you see over by Sage Hall by the university.
Yes.
Those they're the one, it's similar to the one on Congress Avenue by the museum. So excuse me for that. But it's a good way to promote safety, and I think Oshkosh Corp is demonstrating to the community that they care about their employee safety, and it's a strong message for their employees, and we're happy to partner with them.
Definitely. After this, under that item, there's 4 different items that are all kind of relating to each other. First one being the approval of the intergovernmental agreement with East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning to accept funds from the Department of Defense and Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, and that's to implement the Aviation and Aerospace Business Cluster. That's a mouthful. Tell us a little bit about what this is and all the people that are involved in it.
You may recall that we received a grant, or the region received a grant from the Department of Defense when Oshkosh Corp was making their initial set of cutbacks a few years ago. And there's still some follow-through that still needs to be done. It's about diversifying our economy. We love having Oshkosh Corp in the area, but we recognize that having a more diverse economy is better. So the grant identified some things, and aviation aerospace was one of them. And so we've received a grant to implement some of the recommendations that were in the initial study. And so the other 3 items on the agenda are with some of our partners to actually implement those. GoEDC is going to be looking at aerospace niche implementation phase, really looking at the aviation business cluster. Angels on the Water, a local angel investor group, is going to be looking at creation of a fund specifically geared towards aviation. And then UW Oshkosh is really to help support manufacturers and suppliers who are involved in the aviation cluster. So all these things are related, and it's part of following through on the grant that is actually for the entire region. It's really not just about Oshkosh anymore. It's about the entire I-41 corridor.
Definitely. So it's really a great collaboration, and it's a big deal. It's a little confusing when you first read it, but once you get the background, it really is going to be a great investment in the city of Oshkosh.
Absolutely.
Next couple items that we want to talk about here. directly related, 2728, is approval of the grant agreement with the DNR for a T grant for the Transload Facility at the Southwest Industrial Park. Now, I know that this is one that kind of gets you excited, Mark, the Transload Facility. It's moving along. Tell us what step this is.
We discussed it at State of the City, and now it's getting closer to reality, which is wonderful. The T grant is Transportation Economic Assistance, and it's a state program that funds transportation improvements, and rail improvements are part of that to promote economic development. And we've been trying to relocate a loading area for a number of years, and we've been working with Watco, which is the holding company for Wisconsin Southern Railroad. And in our Southwest Industrial Park, on the location there, it's a transload facility, and what that is, it's a facility where trucks can go right to next to the tracks, and they can load the trains right there from the tracks, right on the tracks, and there's no transloading facility in all of Northeast Wisconsin. So this is really going to create a lot of economic activity and a hub of activity for Oshkosh. So the railroad has an option to acquire 20 acres there, and the T grant is the last step. We haven't been awarded the T grant yet, but this is the last step before they will make any announcement on a T grant. So we're very hopeful that we'll be getting an announcement very soon. It lays out all the agreements, and the railroad is also entering into an agreement with us to uphold their end of the bargain. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be donating $600,000, $1 million from the state, $200,000 from the city, and $400,000 from other entities to make this a successful project.
That is amazing. And so what is the soonest that this would be starting? I mean, if this all gets approved and all these steps get taken care of this summer, maybe?
I believe it'll be done this summer, and I've been hoping for this for a long time. I'm very excited that we're going to be proceeding with this.
It's really an exciting project here in Oshkosh. So thank you for the background and the update on that, Mark. Last item that we want to mention here is the approval of the Community Arts Project, Project Lakefly. And I know we've talked about this a few months ago, but maybe give us a little bit of background on what exactly this Lakefly project is.
Well, this started as an inspiration at a League of Wisconsin Municipalities conference where several council members saw what other communities did for community pride. And it is absolutely a tongue-in-cheek thing because we know what a pest the lakefly are, but we also know how valuable they are to our environment. So rather than complain about them, we want to celebrate them. And we received a grant from We a Trust through the League of Wisconsin Municipalities to get this project started. And it's a public art project similar to the Lion Project and to the Nutcracker Project a few years ago. It's just smaller. And this little model will be decorated by local artists, and we're soliciting donations, and the local artists will receive a stipend to decorate them up. And then there will be, I believe it's going to be August 24th, an opening where everybody can vote on the best one and a $5,000 award to the winning artist. And they'll be placed in public and private places. Mm-hmm. And but the council hasn't officially approved this, so we got to get their official approval that we can collect donations and then distribute the money for the cost of the program. So we're very excited about this. It's a sort of a tongue-in-cheek type of thing, but also community pride. And I think it's going to be a fun project for students to learn about the biology of the lakefly.
That's what I was going to say. It's a great education opportunity too, to learn about why it's important and that they're not just a bunch of pests either.
and the school district's very involved in that. But it's also a place to have a little fun and celebrate our ecosystem here, even though it does involve a bug that you like to squish.
Well, we're really excited to see this project move forward. I cannot wait to see what the artists are going to come up with. And you know how much people love the art, the lions and the nutcrackers, and so I think that this will just be another wonderful addition to our arts here in Oshkosh.
I certainly hope so.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of City Manager's Report. Mark, as always, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always fun.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, April 11th. It's at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can listen to it on 101.9 Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like Oshkosh Media on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. Don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Rohloff, you can send it to us on Twitter at City of Oshkosh, post it on our Facebook page, or email it to us, and he will answer it on the next episode of CMR. So once again, thank you very much for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.